Okay, there it goes. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Oh shit. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. All right, testing, testing. All right, much better, much better. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about how to become a high value man. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, let your friends know about it. Share it to your friends. Know about it. Share it to your friends. And I can hear myself talk on my. Okay, let me just. My bad. My bad. That's on me. I'm all over the place today. Just give me a second, guys. Technical difficulties. All right. So Saturdays, 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, like I said before, let your friends know about it. But anyways, let's continue on to what we need to talk about today. So, how to be a high value man. And the recap episode that I'm going to be talking about today is Weak Men Blame Modern Women. So, I did this episode probably somewhere back in January. And, it's already, wow, it's May already. But, so the slide is on negativity loop. And what I do want to talk about is it really depends on what your mind is thinking and what your mind is saying constantly to yourself. And too often I hear a lot of guys talk about how, oh, modern women are like this and modern women's like that, and like there's no way. I was like, no, you just have to find a way in, not a way out. And so now, if you think about it, if you're surrounding yourself with a room full of men that only talks about how modern women are like this and modern women are like that, then yeah, you get pissed off and complain about how modern women's X, Y, and Z. You don't get any type of solutions or tips on how attraction works. That's not really finding a solution. That's not really trying to figure out and find a solution. But instead, if you get a bunch of people that complains, right, because they've been hurt one too many times, so now they're just absolving themselves from personal responsibilities and their own problems. Where they say men cheat because it's in their nature to cheat, and it's a woman's fault that she couldn't satisfy him. If he beats her or puts his hand on her, she provoked him, right? Like things like that. Oh, it's the alcohol. It's because of blah blah blah. She nags a lot. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Jordan? Welcome back. Appreciate you always coming in. Thank you, thank you. So, let's see, where was that? Yeah, so now, like, I get that, a community will come in and make you feel a little bit better about yourself. People sit down and complain, but never do anything about it to better themselves. And this might make you feel better, but it doesn't make you into a better person. So technically, that's not really what a high value man is. A high value man is someone that takes personal responsibility and figures out things that don't work, and then along the way, they don't complain about it. They find a way in, not a way out. So now a lot of guys, it gives them this whole illusion that something will change when you talk about it. When you get a group of people that hates on certain group of people, like women, it make you feel good. Like, oh yeah, just keep talking shit. Just keep talking shit. What's up, Cynthia? And now, but doing something about it will make you become more successful. So things like reading a book on how attraction works, learn how to understand the language on the other side, so that you can understand what she's thinking about. And that's what masculine energy is, at least to my knowledge, in my opinion, my personal opinion. Masculine energy is about understanding yourself as a guy, who you are, and understanding her. And masculine energy understands feminine energy because he knows how to tap into his feminine and understand that too. So, I've heard it way too many times where I hear guys, especially in the whole red pill community, where they say like, F your feelings because your feelings don't matter. It's like, no, absolutely not. It's like, if you're trying to have a good, successful relationship as a guy, you have to make sure you understand her. And if you don't understand her, no relationship will ever work. So yeah, it's going to take some time. Now, so let's talk about the first slide that I'll be talking about today, which is value looks different for everyone. A lot of people in red MGTOW dudes are weak. Absolutely, Luke. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And it seems like you're new. You're pretty new over here. So welcome to my channel. But now my first slide I want to talk about is value looks different for everybody. So the value is always in the eye of the beholder, right? So the value of things being looked at depends on person to person. And if you don't value it, by definition, it is little to no value of for you, right? So this means that the value ranges differently from different people. But we can't or we cannot deny the fact that in order to be in a place of value, number one, it requires work. What's up, Tracy? How you doing? It requires dedication. It requires focus. It requires drive, and it requires purpose. Yes, married, 3 kids, taking a break from the heat. Oh, wait, where you from? Where you from? Now, the basis of value may be different for everybody. For everybody, what value means to you might be totally different with somebody else. But we can all agree that the fundamental of attractiveness is, number one, you want to take care of yourself. You want to take care of your body. So fitness, your body is the foundation that resembles part of your attractiveness. Do you take care of yourself? Do you eat well? Do you exercise? Or do you just come back home, complain, and then get ready for the next day? It's like, oh, and then wait for every single day up until Friday, and you're like, okay, thank God it's Friday. And that's another thing I want to talk about. People that talks about, oh, thank God it's Friday, it's finally Friday. I mean, to me, I get it because I was once like that too. But you want to be in a place where you're happy every single day, where you're looking forward to every single day. Yes, you can have days where you're looking more forward to, but it doesn't mean that Friday is your only day. No, and no. I had a bad breakup, been together for 8 years, and I haven't taken care of myself for a week. Hey, sometimes you need a little bit of break, and I totally understand that. So, I'm trying to look forward, absolutely. So now, when it comes to fitness, and you want to take care of yourself, because physiology, that's your physiology. As long as you could move, your body will feel better. Our bodies are designed to move. And so when you move, you're more fluid. Stagnation is what keeps us stagnant. Like we if we're not moving, what are we really doing? You know what I mean? You're not moving forward. We need circulation in life. So that's why fitness, your body got to move, and you got to move correctly without hurting yourself. And let's face it, most people do judge everybody by their appearance. Who doesn't? Anybody over here heard about this whole halo effect, where if you see someone that's attractive, you're like, wow, like chances are you're going to be a little bit nicer to them if they are more attractive. There's a halo effect. So despite what anybody else says, fitness, as long as you take care of yourself, look, at least there's some discipline in your life. Now, number 2, and in no specific order, there's character. Character is the way someone thinks, someone feels, and how they behave. Now, it is the ethics of them working on becoming the person that they want to become, or the person that they want to be. You may not be where you're at or where you want to right now, but your goal is to reach to a certain peak, right? So, reach to the peak that starts with small little tweaks in your life. And your character is destiny. So what I mean by character is destiny is a high value person will put themselves first, but it doesn't mean that they're selfish people. They will put themselves first, but at the same time, they will take care of the people around them. They know how to lead, especially a guy of high value. He will know how to lead a group. He might not be where he's at right now, but he aspires to be a person that leads. Number 3 is purpose, the central motivating part of your life. What is your goal? What is your aim in life? What is your purpose? A man without a purpose will move anywhere. You can walk in circles. And if you think about it, if you're a leader and you're trying to lead, how how do you feel about yourself if you don't even know where you're going? Imagine following somebody that's walking around in circles or a big loop and doesn't have a direction in life. Just imagine that. How big a waste of time it is. And I've been through that. I thought this person knew how to lead when this person was just an imposter. I was following this person for the longest time, thinking that, hey, this person knows how to do this, knows how to do that. But it's just a whole bunch of nonsense. Never had a direction, still doesn't have a direction, and does not want to become better. And that is, look, when people say that your environment doesn't really have much of an impact, your environment will always trump your intentions. Like I said, I don't care how many jackets you have or how many heaters you have. If your ass is stuck in a refrigerator, you're gonna eventually freeze to death. So your environment will always trump your intentions. So now, like I said, you need a purpose in your life. You need a mission. And that's part of masculine energy. It's like, what do you have to provide for yourself so that you can lead others? If you can't even lead yourself, what makes you think you can lead others? And if you can't lead yourself, why would any woman in your life ever want to follow your lead? You have no direction. And now on top of that, you get pissed off, you get mad, and you start arguing. You don't when men argue with women, you're just conveying to her that I don't understand you. Men who understands women don't argue with them. Like I said, you can have disagreements. Disagreements are fine. It's okay. Everybody, you don't have to agree all the time, but you don't argue. Arguing, there's really no sense in arguing. Like there's no way of talking yourself into convincing her to like you more or to sleep with you. There's no way. And let's just say you logic and reasoned her all the way down and you beat her down all the way to submission, meaning like, look, remember when we were eating at dinner and you promised me that you would sleep with me? It's like, that's just some pity sex. That's pity sex. You don't want to deal with that. You want to be able to lead so well, and if done correctly, she will want you more than you want her. And that's a fact. What's up, Bree? Good seeing you here. Now, purpose. What do you want to become? Who do you want to be, and how would you get there? That's your purpose. And lastly, confidence. And there's plenty more. It's not these aren't the only things, but these are some of the key things I did want to talk about. So confidence, where you're not afraid to make a decision that takes necessary action, massive action, to achieve the goal or your goal. And also, this person has a healthy mindset that seeks growth with good morals and virtues, right? Because you want someone that's able to be empathetic, that knows from what's right from wrong. And so having that confidence, taking calculated risk, those are signs of a high value person or a high value man. And if you're a woman and you're watching this, you want to be able to spot a high value man. But let's start with one question, which is, how do you spot them? And the question goes, what are you looking for? What do you look for in a man? That's the main question. If you can't even answer that thoroughly and clearly, you might be just picking anybody just because you thought you liked them in the beginning. And it's easy. It's always easier to just fall for somebody's front. You don't know who they are, and most people can hide themselves for who they are for at least the first 90 days. And so when that does happen, how are you going to spot these red flags that this person might have? Or like I said, they don't have to be perfect right away, but what are their foundations? What's their character like? How were they brought up? How do they handle difficult times? Like, these are all important, and this is a person's character. And I understand that chemistry is important, but if you overvalue chemistry and undervalue character in somebody, you're always going to run across difficult times. And so, without a clear understanding of what you're looking for, you will easily subject to picking what's right in front of you. And this is a person usually with a scarcity type of mindset. They don't have enough options for themselves because they didn't develop that time, develop themselves mentally and physically. So this is where, like I said, most people overvalue chemistry and undervalue character. And while chemistry is important to have a passionate relationship, what makes a relationship work is how do you handle these unpleasant times? How does this person solve problems? How does this person react to things when things don't go their way? And do they even try to work out the problem with you? Unpacking my house. You're finally live again. Yes, once a week over here. And does this person have hobbies? And does he lose himself in it while still maintaining a healthy balance in that relationship? And this is not just relationships too, right? Like these are certain things that you kind of want to look for in a person as you're dating them. Let's just say in the beginning, you want to ask quality questions because the quality of the questions is in direct proportion to the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you consistently ask yourself and other people. And so, yeah, does this person have hobbies and still maintain this healthy balance in this relationship that you guys have? Meaning, does he understand you and that you have needs? And does she understand, like, hey, you know what? I miss him right now. I want to talk to him. But I understand that he needs his own time to do his own thing because everybody needs their own time. And so you both eventually you make time for each other. So that's how, one, if you're a guy, you understand that, hey, I have a purpose. This is what I need to do. I understand that you're gonna be a little bit upset about it, but then you talk about it, and that's where communication comes in. So also, a high value person learns how to communicate. And what I mean by communicating is, does this person know how to listen? Because that's 50% of communication. And does this person know how to speak? Do they know how to ask quality questions? And quality questions might sound like, how's your day? Basic. And then when things hit the fan, you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Tell me more. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm here for you. Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. These are, and questions like, what is it that I'm not doing that is causing you to feel like blank? What is it that I'm not doing? Or what is it that I am doing that's causing you to feel like blank? And then when she answers you, you don't get defensive about it. You just be like, oh, okay, so, and then you can even sit back and reflect on it. Okay, so when I do this, it makes you feel like this. Okay. And then you could learn to be like, well, maybe I just need to take a step back and not just say things that not say the first thing that comes out of my head. Those are important questions, and this is just like solving problems with each other. It's being able to do this cordially without yelling and screaming. Because, like I said before, men who understands women don't argue with them. You don't argue with your lady. So, moving on. Is he a person that's constantly seeking to improve himself, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, etc.? Is he doing all that to better himself? Or is he just coming back home, just wants to rest, got really nothing else better to do than to, like, I don't know, sit and watch Netflix, maybe drink beer with their friends? It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? A lot of people mistake movement with progress. Just because you're moving, it doesn't mean you're progressing. Like, you got to think about how efficient you want to spend your time efficiently so that you can maximize your growth. And does he have confidence? Because the number one most attractive thing to any woman is confidence. Does he exude confidence? People that know their worth, also, they don't really need to convince other people that they are valuable. They don't need to. And they don't really need to talk about it neither. No high value person will go out and be like, I'm high value. They wouldn't say that at all. That is awesome. All right, you moved. Yeah. Let me know how was your move, Bree? How was your move? Okay. I think this is slide number 2. Slide number 3. Sorry. Slide number 3. Which is hone your masculine energy. And so masculine energy is purpose, it's drive, it's mission, it's your focus, it's overcoming challenges, it's breaking through barriers. You know, Coach Corey Wayne, big shout out to him. He's the guy that taught me 95% of what I know today. So all right, so hone your masculine energy. Is this person cool, calm, and collected, or is this person a jack in a box? Someone that gets upset, that needs to put other people down in order for them to feel a little bit better about themselves? Is this a jack in a box? Is this a person that when you wake up, you're like, damn, am I gonna have a good day today? Because my days are kind of dependent on whether or not this person is in a good mood. And so it's it's good while it's great, but it's terrible when it's bad. So, and really, you really want to think about, is your time really worth that type of trade with certain people? And is this man dangerous? Is this man dangerous but kind? Because if you think about it, A Harmless Man by Jordan Peterson, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is very dangerous. Is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control by Jordan Peterson. So this is a man who is capable of being dangerous when necessary. Otherwise, you might mistake weakness with more virtue. It was stressful. I'm working on a house, but it's been almost a month since I've been here. Yeah, since the whole month, how do you feel? Okay, so moving on. Moving on. Is this guy dangerous but kind? Are you dangerous but kind? Because that's very, very important. It means that you're capable of it. And it's just like anybody. If like it's someone that does martial arts. It's not that you go out there and you like punch people, and you start fights. But you're capable of it if things really hit the fan and someone tries to overthrow you basically, or step over your boundaries, how are you going to handle that? Autopilot. Okay, been working and slowly unpacking. I hope everything's going better for you over there, Bree. I really do. It seems like you're a little bit better. It's gonna take some time to settle in. Okay. So setting and enforcing healthy boundaries. Okay, so moving on. Does this person set and enforce healthy boundaries? He's kind, but doesn't take your shit, nor does he ever lose his shit. That's honing your masculine energy. You got this. It's definitely a new beginning for you. Yeah. A setback is a setup for a comeback. So I'll message you about it. Okay, for sure. Let me know. Yeah, how does he lead? Okay? How does this person lead? Does he lead through examples? And is he gentle with his leadership? Because a lot of people mistaking leading with controlling. And these are guys that don't anyone that needs a sense of control over somebody has zero control over themselves. I'm talking about voluntary control. And if you lack voluntary control over yourself, you would never ever be able to lead, because you will always easily subject to your own feelings. And a guy that lacks emotional intelligence and lacks emotional regulation, they will always be, like I said, they will always be subject to their own emotions. And if they don't know how to control that, the moment something triggers them, they're gonna like I said, they're gonna be Jack in the Box. They're gonna. It's like I said, it's like a kid that no longer wants to play with anybody in the sandbox and takes all his toys away and says fuck you. I don't want to play with you anymore and starts kicking sand. Like that's a freaking child. And here's an example. On the 22nd, which was about 3 days ago, I was driving. This guy, he was pulling out of a parking, like of a parking spot. And as he was pulling out, and note that this is more of it's getting close to the freeway, so there's high traffic and there's a lot of moving traffic, and there is a red light. He should have easily just pulled back and just stayed, but what ended up happening was I was going speed limit, and he decides to cut, like he saw me coming, and the moment I was close to him, he decided to come out, and I almost hit this person. Now, thankfully nothing happened, but what ended up happening, like I honked at him like, hey, do you see me? Now, I was in the car, I was by myself. I could have easily been mad. I could have easily started flipping him off and saying all type of things to make him feel like X, Y, and Z. But I was like, you know what? There's really no point. Fact of the matter is, no one got hurt. And that's great. Let's move on with this. Yes, I did honk at him because I needed to alert him, be like, hey, you're fucking up, basically. And so I pulled to the side because I want to, move away from that type of traffic. And so he honks at me and starts flipping me off. He just flips me off. And I was like, now, did my body want to flip him off? Yeah, absolutely. I was like, F this dude, whatever. But I looked at him. When I looked at him, I was like, I was driving and I looked at him, I was like, dude, what an idiot, right? I just looked at him like he was stupid, that like he doesn't know how to control his emotion. There's literally good to hear out because I'm trying to move on from people thinking I'm the bad guy or the villain in a relationship. But now that we broke up weeks ago, it's really tough to be by myself for real, the first time ever. How long was your relationship, if you don't mind me asking? I need someone in my life then it would be perfect. Who do you need in your life? So anyways, emotional regulation. I looked at him like he was stupid. I was like, do you realize you just caused an accident? You almost potentially caused an accident, and now knowing that you're wrong, you're looking at me like I was the one that made a mistake. I was like, look, if that's how you solve problems in life and not be like, if that was me and I pulled out and I almost hit somebody or caused an accident, I'll be like, yo, that's my fault. That was my fault. I should have looked. And that's how you learn. 8 years ago, I think we wasted our time. I don't think you wasted your time. I think God, if you will, or a higher power, if you will, have mysterious ways of finally telling you that, like, you know what, I had enough. And right now, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Look, I don't think if you weren't in this type of situation, is it Jaw? If you weren't in this situation, you wouldn't be in this life today. You wouldn't have learned. You wouldn't have become a better person or that wants to be bettering themselves. And because you're here, you're doing much more than what 95% of what other people would do, which is to go out, to drink, to take certain substances for whatever reasons to feel better about themselves, which is kind of running away from the problem. And a lot of the times those problems stays dormant inside themselves, and what they don't realize is that, say for example, like someone that doesn't have money, and I used this example before, someone that doesn't have money growing up, and their goal is to make a lot of money so that people won't make fun of this person anymore. And so their whole entire life, they're all stringing along from this fear of being picked on, and I just need money so that I could prove to people that I finally have money. I didn't have money before, but now I do. But it's like you're still you never learn to let that go. And if you never learn to let that go, you still run by fear of not having money from before. Versus if you just accepted the fact that, hey, you know what? It did suck back then. I did get picked on because I didn't have a lot of clothes when I was growing up. Or, I wore the same thing over and over. And maybe, mom or dad, they couldn't afford it at the time. And so, hey, you know what? Things happen and we move along with it. Like I said, this is like a small example. And so you no longer run by that fear of, damn, I don't have money, which is now you could let go of that and be like, well, you know what? Money's nice, but what's more important is my sanity, where I'm not run by that fear of not having money as a kid or in the past. So, yeah, that's learning how to hone your masculine energy. Like right now, I'm in a relationship and he's screaming the whole time. And not gonna lie, I don't want to break up with him, but I don't know, I can't. So, like I said, men who understands women don't argue with them. When a guy yells and screams at a woman, he is conveying to her that number one, he doesn't understand her. Number two, he's further reassuring herself that, hey, you know what, this guy really doesn't really know how to control himself. Like, it's causing this whole attraction that you have towards him go down. And while the attraction is going down, guess what's also happening? You're starting to lose respect for this guy because he's yelling and screaming. A guy that has more high value, that understands himself, that feels like he is more of value, he wouldn't need to yell. Because behind anger is always fear. So when he's yelling, he's fearful of certain things in his life. And because he's yelling, because his voice is not loud enough, he needs to yell. He needs to project it, like volume wise. It needs to go up in order for him to feel like he's being heard. Because a person that feels like he knows of himself of value, that knows what he says is important, look, it doesn't matter if you don't want to listen to me or not. I'll just leave. A high value person won't take your shit. He will absolutely not take your shit. And he'll just walk away. He'll be like, look, it was great while it lasted. It kind of sucked. It sucked that it had to be this way, but I had a great time with you. And he will always have this positive outlook of the relationship instead of screaming and doing all that. So, like I said, does he know how to lead? A guy that yells and screams, he doesn't know how to lead. He is displaying more feminine energy when he's yelling and screaming, which causes her to tap into her masculine so that she has to fill in that void of him being too much of a bitch, which is being too feminine. Because when you're talking a lot, when you're describing your feelings and all, that's all feminine energy. And men and women, we all have masculine and feminine energy. It's just, what do you possess more? What is your natural essence? What, that gives me a different perspective. What do you mean by that, Bree? So, how does this person lead? Does he lead through example? Is he gentle with his lead? A guy or a masculine guy that knows how to lead would never force anybody to be with him. He would never force anybody to be with him. Meaning he doesn't try to force you into something against what you believe in. But if that's something that he loves doing, well, guess what? He will continue doing it whether or not you're in his life or not. And he's proud of what he does. So for me, an example is I like working out. Someone might say, like, what's the point of working out? Everyone's gonna die anyway. It's like, yeah, you can have that type of perspective. But me personally, I want to live a life that I could enjoy. I never thought of it that way, guy yelling at a scenario. Yeah. So I'm just gonna point to the area. So when I point here is the heart, when I point here it's the brain. Men, we're more up here. We're more logic and reasoning. Women, we like you ladies, you describe things over here from the heart. Because, feminine energy is about bonding, it's about connecting, it's feeling, it's nurturing, it's creating. And so when you guys are creating, like, look at what you bring to earth. Babies, right? You're the one that that makes babies. It's creation. So now, when all we do is yell and scream, we're conveying so much that number one, we don't understand you, and we're more into our feminine, which there's no sexual polarity. When we argue and we scream, or look, even when us guys have problems, I have problems too, right? And so when I have problems, I talk about my problems because number one, when I talk about it, yes, it does make me feel a little bit better. But the bottom line is, I don't stay over here. I get back here eventually. So when I talk about, damn, yesterday sucked, I almost got into a car accident and this guy went like this, but guess what? Things didn't happen. And no one got hurt. And so that's the best thing about that. But how am I going to move back up here? And so what I tell myself is, look, I just got to be a little bit more cautious. So what I learned from that incident was I should be checking my side view mirrors a little bit more often. Why? Because since the guy was on my right, what I needed to do was I needed to evade that situation. So if I would have been more aware, I could have either braked a little bit faster or checked my left side so I have more room to escape. And that is more of my masculine, finding that solution so I don't get into the same situation. I talk about my problems too. I haven't stopped crying for about 7 days. It's really hard to get back up there again. Yes, I understand that. I totally understand that, because at one point in my life, I hit rock bottom. I felt like nobody cares. I felt, and and that's kind of like the reality too, right? I felt like nobody cares. I hit rock bottom. I was like, what is the effing point of living? What's the point? What is the point of living? And it was because I didn't have a direction in life. I didn't have anybody to kind of lean on. And so, I lean on to someone that I was like, let me learn about relationships, because by understanding relationships, I could start fixing certain things that I'd done wrong. And I started realizing it. All these little light bulbs start popping up like, damn, I did this. I said this to her. I was the one that caused her to allow her to disrespect me like that. And so by understanding so many little things, all these light bulbs went up. It was that process of understanding myself. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is trust me, it sucked in the beginning. For the first half a year to a year, I didn't know what I was doing. But what I did understand was, I was like, wow, I'm slowly developing myself. And little by little, I started understanding more and more about myself and what I lacked in and what I needed to work on for myself. And so all the problems that I had in the past that I didn't want to look to the past, I turned around and I started looking at all the mistakes that I did. And little by little, I stopped making those mistakes. And because of that, I was able to get myself out of that situation, because I was one, a little bit more educated now. I got to learn about how attraction works, how what to say, what to do in a relationship. That way we could have a better relationship. And it takes time. It takes time. And this Joe, is it Joe or Jaw? Um, what I highly suggest is, if you're a guy, you're a masculine, or you're a woman, and you're feminine, or a Joe, it doesn't matter. It's whatever your natural essence is. If your natural essence is more masculine, well, it's going to take some time for you to be in your feminine, to understand, like, how am I gonna get myself out of the situation so that I can become more confident, more competent, and more confident again. How am I gonna do that? And it all starts by moving your body. It really is. And then you start educating yourself through books. Those are all the books. Learn, read. How do you apply that? How do you learn a little bit more about yourself to 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 further move along in life and not be miserable? A lot of people live miserable. So I know I spent a lot of time on this subject. I do need to continue on with honing your masculine energy. So Love is allowing. He allows you to be in her life and appreciates her, right? Appreciates her while she is in her feminine energy. Understands that when you want more, he understands that when she wants more of his time, he doesn't see it as she's being needy and she's being annoying. Because when a woman is in love with you, she wants your attention all the time. Masculine energy understands feminine energy. And I'm going to say that again. Part of masculine energy is to understand feminine energy. Like I said, feminine energy is chaotic. They're crazy sometimes. They blow things out of proportion. They say things in exaggeration or hyperboles where you never do this. You always do that. And it's like, well, now when a guy understands her when she says things like that, he's gonna take a step back and be like, it's not that I never do this. It's not that I always do that. It's because what I'm doing now is causing her to feel what she felt back then. And what she felt back then was this much. And so she's taking that to the present tense. And in that present tense, that's how she feels. But it's not that you never do anything. That's not that. And so maybe she just wants a little bit more of your time. Say, for example, if she says, oh, you never take me out to dinner. And you're like, wait, I took you out to a nice fancy restaurant, blah, blah, blah. I did this and that like last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, what do you mean I never do that? What she means at that time when she says things like that is, during this time, I just want you to date me a little bit more. So a woman wouldn't outrightly just tell you things like that. So part of masculine energy is to understand what feminine energy is. And part of that is feminine energy is chaotic. She goes like this, blows things out of proportion sometimes, and then your job as a guy is to, it's okay. I got it handled. I'm the guy, I'm the leader. And it's like, yes, you do have personal responsibilities if you're a guy if you're the masculine figure in the relationship. You're going to have to deal with that. And it's only better for you to continue learning for yourself. But most people live lives of quiet desperation and with least resistance anyway. So they don't want to deal with all that. That's more work. My job is difficult enough. I don't need, and so they rather much be single, or they do disloyal things, things that are not of virtue, right? And they think it's normal. And so that's why when guys are like, oh yeah, it's, all guys cheat. It's like, absolutely not. Most guys do, because most guys don't value monogamy and loyalty. And so when you're around those certain people, that's their story that they consistently telling themselves. And when you believe that, of course you're gonna have a certain belief. But then when you run across somebody that's like, oh no, like I wouldn't cheat on my wife. And if, God forbid she does that to me, look, I'll just walk away. I'll walk away, right? And understanding his downside risk too as well, because depends on where you get married, right? There's a whole different law against it. Could go against you, especially if you're the guy too as well. So anyways, he understands, right? The guy, masculine energy, he understands that his lady will eventually test him. And women love to be in her feminine when she is led by a man who understands himself in his masculine. Women love to be in their feminine energy. You ever notice when your lady's in love with you, everything's great. She's happy. She's very bubbly, right? She says things. She does cute things. That's her being in her feminine, and that's because you know how to hone your masculine energy. You know how to lead. You're the one that started leading. So my question to you is, what stopped you from leading the relationship? What caused her to step away? What caused her to back away? So Joe, not to call you out, but in an 8-year relationship, somewhere along the line, something went wrong. Now, I don't know anything about her. I don't know what her character's like. I don't know if she's a liar or a cheater, or maybe she's a very, very good, well-rounded person. I don't know that. But what I do know that is somewhere along the line, someone messed up. And if you take personal responsibility of what you did wrong, you can only become better. You can only become better. Now, my last slide is be with someone who makes you better. And that's why it's so important to have a mentor. It's so important to have somebody that you could kind of lean on, that will listen to you, that can spot your mistakes, that can be like, this is what went wrong, and this is how you don't act like this again. This is what you should say. But more of this is more of a it's more of your psychology. It's your mindset. Because what I teach here isn't tips and tricks. Although you could use it as little cookie cutters, tips and tricks, but tips and tricks will only get you so far. It will get you attainable success, but you're not going to have sustainable success. So be with someone who makes you better. And as a guy, you want to be the leader of the relationship, the guy that leads, not controlling, but leadership. A leads means you go first. You do it first. Like attracts like. People who likes the same things tends to like each other. So that's the basics of a relationship. If you like certain things and she likes that you like those things and you're good at it, well, absolutely. You should always continue to do that. I've seen so many relationships where, in the beginning, say for example, they love Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon. And so if I love Pokemon, she comes into my life 5 years later. She's like, you know what? Those Pokemon cards that you got, Mitchell, those need to go. And it's kind of childish. It's like, and I go, yeah, you know what? You're right. But deep down, like those are the things that makes me happy. I want to be able to wake up and look at my Charizard. That's what I want to do. And if a woman loves you and she cares about you and you're doing everything correctly, she wouldn't give a shit if you like Hello Kitty. Okay, she wouldn't give a shit. But what I am saying is, a lot of guys, they kind of just push themselves away, and they'd be like, "Oh, you know what? You're right. I should stop doing this. It's kind of childish." And so they start selling, giving away certain things, and they lose themselves. It's like, well, that was the thing that kept you happy. Why would you give that up? So yeah, so there you go. Yes, I was a little bit controlling. Not gonna lie. So, Joe, what I would say about controlling is control is an illusion. You feel like you need the only control you really have is with yourself. And if you don't know how to control yourself, guess what's going to happen? You're going to want to project it onto other people. And when you project it onto other people, when you try to control them, think of it as you're trying to trap them. Just like any animal, no animal ever wants to be trapped. They want to be free. And so when you do things that makes them feel like you're trapping them, they feel like they're losing their freedom. And when a woman feels like she's losing her freedom, she's going to be turned off by that. Just like, oh, this guy's a little bit controlling. Especially if she had guys in the past that's been more controlling. Yeah, and that's not love. Love is allowing. You want to allow her to come and go as she please, while setting and enforcing healthy boundaries. It doesn't mean that, she could just go out and date other guys if you're exclusive. Absolutely not. I mean, unless you're into open relationships and things like that. But you have to understand, love is allowing. Love is about giving. You go there to give. And somewhere along the line, y'all stop giving to each other. And that's why the relationship started to fall apart. And it's because you started to think about what you're lacking, what you're missing, and what you're not getting, and what you're not receiving. And so that's no longer about the relationship, it's about you. But when you give, and that person understands that you're giving too, she's going to feel appreciated. And so you want to give back to each other. And you also have to understand how attraction works. It's a scientific fact. Coach Corey Wayne, it's a scientific fact that if she likes you more than you like her, it is always, always better. She's way more attracted to you when she knows that she likes you more than you like her. Because when a relationship becomes 50-50, if you do 50% of the initiation or the pursuing, you're going to end up like roommates. And usually with 5 years, 3 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever relationship, that's how it ends. And most people settle in relationships. And that's a fact. But a relationship that pushes each other to become more than you are, there's progress, there's no stagnation, you both become better. Like, and you always seek to become more than you are. Like, that's a beautiful relationship. To me, like, you can't really ask for anything more than that. Now, like I said, like attracts like. People that like the same thing tend to like each other. So someone who's focused excuse me, someone who's focused on bettering themselves. If you're a feminine woman, you're looking for someone that's emotionally regulated, a guy who is grounded, who knows who they are, who they want to become, and where they want to be. They are being their authentic self and are unapologetic about it. They don't need to live up to anyone else's expectation other than their own. They raise their own standards for themselves. So eventually, you were like, hey, you know what? It's cool that I'm here and I got here. I'm raising my standards for myself. Raise your standards for yourself. And the more standards you raise for yourself, the less likely you're going to deal with people that no longer meets those standards for you. So say, for example, because I used to always yell and scream before. Okay, I didn't know how to control my emotions. When things didn't go my way, I get upset. What's up? Is it Sani? Sane? I didn't know how to control my emotions. And so when I was able to control my emotions a little bit more, and I understood how much effort it took. I'm from Cali. And when I understand how much effort it took to become that person I am today, I no longer dealt with people that yells and screams. I'm like, dude, that's too fucking much. Like, I keep my distance away from them. I keep my distance because I know how much work it requires. And so when people say like, oh yeah, I changed, it's like, how much change did you apply? You could tell me that you changed, but when time comes and your actions says otherwise, it tells me that you haven't changed. And when your action displays that you don't change, well, guess what? I trust you less. And every time you tell me a lie, I'm gonna understand, like, when you're incongruent. So that's why when you say certain things as a guy, you want to make sure when you say it, you mean it. We never change, things never change it. Change it in their entire relationship. Yeah, most people don't change. Most. Okay? It's a very, very, very small percentage. And so, now, be with someone who makes you better. And this is why it is important to have certain hobbies. Point is that you want to lose yourself in your hobbies and your interests, things that you do for fun, things that you love. Because when you're proud of yourself and you're proud of your life, the right people will want to be a part of that. On the flip side of the coin, if you're not proud of your life, of where it's going to be pretty difficult to try to convince her or a woman to be excited about yours. A high value man will inspire you to want to become better. And it is now, and if you're a lady and you're watching this and you're listening to this, a lot of women always talk about they want a high value man that makes a lot of money. And like I said, value means different for everybody. But if your value is set on, oh, he needs to make this much money and he needs to do this and he needs to like be 6 feet tall, he needs to be fit and all this. A high value man, like I said, this is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. And being a high value person means that you need to be high value yourself. Or if you're not there, raise it for yourself. If you think for 1 minute that a person will just pick you without requiring you to be better, guess what? You're delusional. And they will want you to become more. They want you to be better mentally, physically, and spiritually. So you can step up to the plate too as well. Because they will want you to become better. Angelo, thank you for coming here and listening. So now, understanding masculine and feminine energy, that is the number one most important thing. If you want a relationship to be passionate, you have to understand masculine and feminine energy. Okay? It means that things, when you're not around her, you need to be focused on your own purpose. You need to be focused on your own mission. What do you need to do in your life? And, I understand that after getting out of a relationship, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort to better yourself. And understand that if it stems from a place of fear and anger, like you felt like you wasted time, right now is a good time to reflect, especially while it's still fresh, to focus on what are certain things that I've done in a relationship. Like, write it down right now on a piece of paper. 10 things that you could do a little bit better. Joe, you talked about, hey, maybe I was a little bit controlling. And look, the two biggest reasons why any relationship will break up, or the two biggest downfalls for a relationship, it doesn't matter what type of relationship, gay, lesbian, heterosexual, whatever it is, there's always a masculine and feminine energy. If you're the masculine guy or masculine person in the relationship, what you need to focus on is leadership. And when I mean leadership, it means that, look, are you dating and courting her? Are you dating and courting your woman? Or and does she feel heard and understood? Does she feel heard and understood? Because those are the two biggest reason why a relationship ends. It's because she doesn't feel heard and understood, and you stop dating and courting her. So Joe, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. But if I was a betting man, you did one of those two things, if not those two things. You stopped dating and courting her, and you stopped listening to her. And she felt like she was not being understood. And that's why maybe she tried to leave. What do you think about that? And as you're thinking about it and you're typing it up, I want to talk about a summary, which is the 4 slides, which is number 1 was values look different for everybody, right? Different people, different values. Number 2, how to spot a high value man. Ask yourself first, what am I looking for? And if you're a guy listening, well, what am I lacking? What am I lacking? I wasn't listening. I wasn't civil in her eyes. What do you mean by that? And is he a person that constantly seeks to improve himself? Mentally, physically, and spiritually. Number 3, hone your masculine energy. How does he lead? And if you're a guy, are you a leader? Are you even leading? Does he lead through example? Is he gentle with his lead? You could gently nudge. You'd be like, hey, you know what? I think you could do this. You're an inspiration to her. People that are inspirational to other people, they earn respect. And when they respect you, they like you a little bit more. And when a woman respects you, she gets to love you. But when she no longer respects you, love follows that. And so without respect, there will be no love, in other words. So women love to be in her feminine when she is led by a man who is in his masculine. We will always argue on everything. We do pay bills basically almost every day. I would be unreasonable, right? So when you're arguing with her, when you're yelling and screaming, number 1, behind anger is fear. I don't know what your financial situation is, but maybe you're good financially, but maybe you felt like she wasn't doing enough. But but in this relationship, right, that you guys had, you're the provider, you're the protector. And when you're yelling and screaming, you're showing her that you don't understand her. You don't understand her. And you're further reassuring that, damn, she's like, damn, this guy doesn't even know how to control his emotions. So how am I gonna expect this guy to lead, or when shit really hits the fan, how do I know that he could protect me? Bad, but I'm still trying. That's fine. You don't have to be where you're at right now. Or, it doesn't, a high value person doesn't mean that you already have all these things attained. It means that you're working towards that. And that's fine. Because woman that always talks about, oh, I need a guy that makes this much money. Look, what a woman says and how she emotionally responds to are two completely different things. Two completely different things. I'm not that tall, but there's one of my exes, she was like, I would never date a guy that's not at least 5'10". I'm 5'5". She was taller than me. She made an exception. Why was that? So now, fourth slide was be with someone who makes you better. Like attracts like. People that like the same things tend to like each other. A high value man will inspire you to become better because he's a leader himself. Being with a high value person means that you need to be high value yourself or raise that value. She left me without a license. We had a car for a year. And we never worked things out, getting me my license and all that. Well, as a guy, you're supposed to be that person that gets your own license. Never even tried. So these are, if you don't mind me asking, Joe, how old are you? You said 8 years in a relationship. So I'll spend another 5 to 10 minutes over here talking on my live so that I can listen to what's going on in your life right now. But if you have social media, if you have Instagram or you have TikTok, feel free to message me. Send me a direct message over there. I could respond to you a little bit better. Yeah. So we just been really busy in our lives. When you say that, it means that she's less important. She's not as important until, so 8 years you guys been together since you were 20. So you guys were young, or you were young when you first got together. It's been 8 years and she finally moved on. When you say that you're really busy in your lives, you're just telling her that she's unimportant. And when you do certain things like that, when you get complacent, when you get too comfortable, you feel like it's been 8 years. She's not going to leave me. Those are excuses. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you get into a relationship, like, look, if you had a kid right now, would you be like, yeah, I got too busy. I just stopped feeding him. I just stopped feeding my baby. Those are responsibilities. The more, like, people all think about what's the great things about a relationship. They don't really think about, damn, relationship takes effort. It takes time. When you get into a relationship, expect yourself to put yourself some time so that you could be with her. Because if you're not going to be with her, if you stop dating and courting your woman, eventually another man will. And especially a guy that knows his own value, she's going to want to date a leader, a person that knows where he wants to go in life, that doesn't argue. Like, look, if there was another guy out there, he's single, he's looking for a high quality woman, and let's just say she's a high quality woman, right? And she stumbles across him. He's like, who's this guy? How come he has all his shit together? He doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. He listens to me. He asked me how my day was. Even when he comes home, he's emotionally regulated. Maybe he had a shitty day, but he came home and he still listened to my story. And then when I asked him how his day was, he tells me, damn, it was a really bad day, but it's getting a little bit better because I'm here with you now. And then she will be like, well, what happened? What went wrong? And he goes, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened at my job, I think I might get demoted. And it's like, maybe it's time for me to find something else, to maybe move a little bit more forward in my life. This little setback is not telling me I'm not good enough. This setback might be a good realization that I need to do a little bit more for myself. So, he finds solutions, but he's not upset about it. like I said, behind anger is always fear. So when you're yelling and screaming, whatever it is, you're fearful of something, whether it's financial or you're fearful of losing her, you have less control because people project how they feel. So if if I if I see a good happy relationship and my relationship is horrible, I'm gonna start projecting onto other people like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do this, or like, oh that relationship won't work out. I've heard people talk shit about other people's relationship, but then in reality, their relationship with who they were with at the time, it was bad. It was all bad. It was always going downhill. And so, my job as a coach is to spot those bullshitters, those fluffers that fills up all these times. It's like, no, like you calling me or you talking to me because of one thing and one thing only, because things didn't work out. So how are you gonna better that? How are you gonna find a solution to better yourself so that you don't become that same person again? And that gives a lot of hope to a lot of people, Joe. It gives a lot of hope because at one point I was in that situation. I didn't know how to lead. I whatever I tolerated, well guess what? I invited more of it. And so when I allowed her to disrespect me in the past, and then one day I finally tried to stand up for myself, but I didn't really know how to deal with that. Well, guess what? It backfired on me. So then I'm like, oh shit, like, oh yeah, I guess standing up for myself wasn't really the right idea. When in all reality, it was. It just wasn't it just wasn't the right time for me. I just didn't understand myself. I didn't find myself of value. I didn't understand that. And so when I was single, I started listening to myself, listening to my internal dialogue. I was like, damn, what am I fucking up in? What is it that I'm doing that is not enough and that I could be better at? I started with communication because I always started yelling and screaming. The one thing when I didn't get my way, I yelled and screamed. But I understood behind anger is fear. And so when things didn't go my way and I started yelling and screaming, I'm projecting onto the other person my insecurities, and I didn't even know that myself. And then I started regulating that, and I took a step back. And then it was another one, which was when she was yelling at me. And what I'm looking for is someone that is easygoing and easy to get along with. And I'm like, hey, I understand you're upset, but let's try to talk about it. And if you're not able to talk about it, we're not going to talk. And just like that, she took a step back. Because I took a step back because I was the leader in that relationship. So I took a step back and I was like, hey, we have to talk about this. How are we going to talk about it? Yelling and screaming, that's not how we talk about it. At least that's not how I deal with it. I don't know how you deal with other people, but this is not how I tolerate it. I don't tolerate disrespect. Don't disrespect me. So, just little things like that. And you have to understand that this is a philosophy. This is your mindset. This is how you're going to live your life. And if you live through like this, you're going to have endless options for yourself. And then at this point you don't even you have too many selections to choose from. Okay. I thought I lost the channel. But Joe, for the people that's been listening, I really appreciate your time. Joe, you seem to be pretty new here. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Every week is a different topic. And you're more than welcome to come in and just join in and listen. I have my socials on my channel. So if you are interested, feel free to kind of follow me there, ask me certain questions. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And yeah, Tracy, as always, thank you. I really appreciate you. I will join and listen to you. Thank you. Thank you. Your time is valuable to me. And so that's why, I always try to do my best to give you the best advice that I know, right? Where you're from, man. I'm from the US. I'm from the US. So, um, California. Now,
Yeah, I have a phone call coming in. So, anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next live. Thank you for watching. Like I said, if you guys do find this video content of value, you can show your appreciation. Everything is in the description below. So yeah, let me know. But until the next live, I catch you guys next week at 12 p.m. All right.